And here we are, loaded into Gresfon. These two players have dueled each other week after week. We've had some of the best games of the year coming off between Dark and Cure, and now they're in the semifinals of the KSL. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Gresfon, the biggest map. I am so excited to see what happens. I do need to figure out, though, as the, ooh, pool first coming out of Dark here. That's fun. What I do need to figure out is just how to handle like the actual talking about the intros, because I have a very, the casters have a pattern, you know, where you zoom in, you load in, and you talk about player one, and player one says, in the bottom right, in the blue, it's Dark, and in the upper left, in the bottom, there we go, that's fixed. The bottom right in the red, it's Cure, and the upper left in the blue, it's Dark. You know, easy peasy. But when we're not doing that, and we're just showing both players at the beginning, like, what exactly do I talk about? I don't know. Do I just not talk? But I think I need quicker music. The music timer is about like 30 seconds. How do I keep the two PCs in sync? Well, it's pretty simple. Both games are in the same game or in the same replay. So there's always one computer that, if it's a replay, there's always one computer that governs what's happening, as the STV is going to get the scout here on the Lings. So there's always, like, if you're in a replay, there's always one PC that like governs whether things are playing or pause at what speed they're going at. Otherwise, game clock. Right? The StarCraft, specifically the engine, is a game that runs in lockstep, and that is in part why it is so cool. Why it is actually, it is a great engine, especially for when it was made. What? 15-ish years ago when it was first started to get developed. But it is also why there are problems, why, you know, it's why ping is actually such a problem. Like why ping on one computer slows down the, like, ping for an observer computer slows down the entire game. Why I mean, really, that is the big one. So upsides and downsides, but it is pretty cool at the end of the day that again, everyone is guaranteed to be in sync. That's just how that works. But for now, this is Gresfon, and Cure is just doing Cure things. 3 CC play, and this is the fun one, though. Dark and Cure play a lot. They've been on teams for quite a while now, no longer. Cure, of course, playing for Abydos, or like Team Envy adjacent. But Dark and Cure have a pretty solid, they got a pretty solid history. And this is one of the ones where it's like, yeah, you know, Dark has had Cure's number for years now. 41-15 in series is kind of crazy. But, you know, more recently, Cure's been playing pretty well. They played some good series, although, as I think about it, I think all those series that have been really good have been, you know, they've been 3-game series in a best-of-3, but they've been 3-game series where Dark has won in 3 games. And it's like, well, you know, the games were great, but, was it worth it? For now, though, this is just Cure, you know, doing Cure things. 3 CC play, Banshee on the way. And I've been pretty vocal about saying that I don't think that there is anything particularly special about Cure. He's kind of the distillation, and I'm not the only one saying this, that he is kind of the distillation of the Korean Terran. There's nothing really special about him. It's not absolute late game acumen that Maru has, or incredible speed and early game aggression that Beyond has, or even we look abroad and we talk about how Clem is just so fast and his multitasking is all there. But the more I've been watching Cure as of late, I'm starting to feel that Cure he's starting to develop an identity, and it's kind of a milquetoast identity, to be fair. It's not, oh wow, you know, game goes past 20 minutes, he wins the game, or wow, you know, 2-1-1s are just the best thing in the world, or he literally looks like he's playing at 3 positions at once. But 9 games out of 10, Cure's going to go for 3 CC play. 9 games out of 10, Cure is going to try to play this big expansive macro game. And I feel like that's, you know, starting to develop some sort of personality to his gameplay. Again, it's not as romantic, not as exciting as even as Solar, who is the man who's going to get nuked a lot. But it is something. So for now, third base is on location. We got more barracks done. So yeah, I mean, this is just pretty standard. Kira trying to establish as much map control as possible, but he has not done a great job curtailing this creep spread whatsoever. We are one screen. I mean, we are a screen or more, pretty much. Fourth base maybe a little less, but we are. The creep outside of the bases of Dark is starting to become pretty significant, although that's nice. Knocking down a building creep tumor makes it a little hard to spread creep on the bottom left. As the Queen's going to take some damage too, but Queens arrive and mass transfuses are going to be fine for that one. So Banshees don't get much. I mean, they're going to get damage on hatch. Great. That's fine. They're going to get a drone. Fantastic. It's 6 minutes and Dark's on 72 drones. Losing summon production is, again, obnoxious, but Dark's economy is going like gangbusters here. And the fun thing also is that this is not mass late game Dark, which we are so often see is, these Banshees are starting to get value. I got to give him credit. Even still, it's only 5 workers. This is not mass late game Dark, right? Which is, I'm going to get a 7-minute hive and I'm going to go massling Bane. He's going 1-1 Roach. And considering the fact that, there is an infestation pit on the way, this is likely to be into quick lurkers off that. Getting +2 lurkers is pretty cool. But he's been playing a lot of this, like 7-8 hatch off 4 base. 1-1 Ling Bane. The Queens all run around as a big clump. And he gets all those macro hatches, so he really doesn't need to go and inject quite as much. It's kind of cool. I don't know. As someone who appreciates really crisp mechanics, it kind of hurts me a little bit. But it is just it's an optimization from Dark. It is Dark saying that, I could inject properly, but I'm going to spend like 600 extra minerals. I'm going to get 2 extra hatches, but I'm always going to have high energy Queens at the front to keep myself safe. And it's a decision like that he makes that has been pretty effective for him. Now the Banshees run for it. Hey, they've killed off a couple drones. They've done damage to a Queen. I guess that's something. They're going to cloak up, but there's an overseer right there, so good luck. But okay. Hive halfway done, and interesting. We got pathogen glands on the way. Infestors are going to come out soon. So, actually, I shouldn't say this is interesting. This is, again, pretty common for the style that Dark is playing, which is kind of a style that only he plays. Like, to be honest, this very quick 1-1 into 2-2 Roach, into Lurkers, into Hive. He has a couple different ways he likes to go into the late game, but one of them is, again, going to be this skimping out on Roaches as much as possible. Biles are not really going to land here. Cure runs forward. Lings now filter on in, but the Hellbats are doing so much, and Cure just sims right on top of this army. We don't have any Banelings. We don't have any Infestors. There is no splash to clear this up. Not really, although the Biles do kind of hit at the end, so this is just a dead base for Dark. Cure hits his timing incredibly well. And those Hellbats, they did so gosh darn much. But as I was saying, Dark likes to go into the late game as quick as possible. So the Hive is done. Infestation Pit is done. That's actually been done for a while. Lurker Den is done. Now Lings are going to run forward. Bio kites out, and a tank will fall. The question now is whether Cure can take advantage of this opening that he's built for himself. He's not creeped down just a little bit. He's still got, really only lost 1 tank. Because eventually, the Infestors will be out. Although, as I say that, Dark actually just cannot afford them. He's mining 1,200 gas a minute, but it has to go into these Roaches and these Ravagers and these upgrades. But there are no Hydras. There are no Lurkers. If Cure can maintain the momentum here, this is going to look pretty good for the Terran. But, Dark is just really good at staying on the edge of creep. Dropping the Biles where he needs to drop them, making sure that he does not die, engaging off creep when he needs to. Just like right now, Biles are going to land. 2 tanks will fall. And Dark has to back up for just a second. Ooh, juicy Biles. No. Not going to happen. But the big thing here that we got to talk about that Dark is doing is pretty simple. Every time Cure runs forward and the tanks are not sieged, or maybe not sieged quite at the best position, Dark runs in, he kills the tanks. Like, that's what matters here. It's not about the bio is whatever. As long as you can keep the tank count down as a Zerg, you're actually really happy about things. So Army runs forward. Biles don't really hit, but now Vipers are starting to pop out. Lurkers are on their way. They have move speed. We're going to have seismic spines soon enough. And Infestors join the fray. Decent fungal, not center mass, but it's going to be good enough here. And the Marines take pretty heavy damage, but Dark has to kite backwards. He's got 2-2, but so does his opponent. And that is a lot of Marauders. Secure continues to move forward just a little bit. And Marauders are such a double-edged sword here because they're tankier, sure, but they're also armored. That means the Lurkers are going to kill them even faster, especially with +2. So the buyout runs forward. And, well, the Lurkers, they're not getting targeted. There was no scans. The bio of Cure has fallen apart. On the timing, now Cure's got to back up. He's on 4 bases. He's got his 5th base on the way, adding in ghosts. But that timing that he was looking for, that timing he was trying to take advantage, it's just not there. Not at all. And these Lings, they're going to find everything. So you got to pick up, run away. Parasitic bombs? No. But now Dark. He's got double upgrades on the Lurkers. They got 2-2. They're so much stronger than they normally are right now. And the Vipers, they're abducting all the tanks. They try to siege up, get a 1 measly shot off. It's not going to matter. And tanks continue to fall. The army of Dark moves forward. But you know what? These Banshees are so valuable. There is no anti-air whatsoever. The Banshees from early on that I was talking about how little damage they found, they're actually they're going to force this back. And it's going to buy Cure some time. Not infinite time, of course. Hydras will get added in. There already are observers, are overseers, or they don't take all that long to get. So from that perspective, it buys Cure time. But just because it buys you time does not mean you're safe. Although in this game, I would argue it probably does, because now we're moving up to 4 ghosts, 6 ghosts, and the ghost count's going to start to increase. Tank count's going to go back up again. Adding in some Vikings is actually pretty cool here, as Cure will knock down the base. Actually going to kill the drone too, so Dark doesn't get that extra base he wants. And buying this minute and a half that the Banshees provided is in and of itself going to be enough to keep Cure into this game and actually put him in I'm not going to say a solid spot, because it is always scary playing into this late game. But he's been trading better, and again, realistically, he's going to get up to 6, 8, 10 ghosts. He's going to have Vikings to ward away the Vipers to make their life a little bit harder. He's got more tanks. The Banshees are all around. Still no detection. I thought they'd get added, especially with ghosts on the way, but apparently not. Although we do have to point out, of course, that the ghosts do not have personal cloaking. And that is something. All right, you do want to keep those ghosts alive. You do want to add you do want to add personal cloaking. It gives you the ability to snipe the overseers down, then run away. And it actually is really powerful. Now Lurker's going to try to unburrow, reburrow. Oh, it dodges the last shots, and immediately gets burst back up to full. Oh, poor Cure. That is not what you want. Not at all. But still, these Banshees, they're doing such a good job. They're going to cancel another base. And that shouldn't happen, but it seems like it absolutely will. So now another base gets canceled. This one is not, the drone's not going to die. Dark's on top of that, but even still. I wish he would repair it, though. Oh, I love this. This is so cool. 4 Banshees. I talked about their ability to deny Vipers, but they're also drop denying. This is 4 drops, or 4 medevacs, 3, 4 medevacs moving into the main. Dark has no idea this is happening. He's got nothing. So 2 into the main base. 1 is going to go deny this 4th with rest. What is that? 6 Marines and a Marauder, and the carpet bomb into the main. Damage is going to get found here. And Cure, he sweeps all the detection, all any sort of drop defense on the way. It seems like the drop on the right side got dealt with, but this is a hive snipe. I don't think it's going to deny the attack upgrades, but it snipes the hive. And that is absolutely massive. The Lings they run in, they don't have any attack upgrades. They do not kill things all that quickly. Biles, though, Biles are going to do a lot. So, that could have gotten more damage done, but I guess Cure was focused elsewhere. Regardless, he snipes the hive. And that buys so much. Yes, there's a greater Spire on the way. But you can't build Vipers anymore. There are 2 on the map, but that is all that Cure will have for quite a while. And the Dark will have for quite a while. And quite frankly, I like the idea that Dark is going, where he's going into +1 melee and bailing speed and all that. But the idea to go like super high tech, I'm against this army. I'm not a fan. It's kind of funny, actually, when we talk about late game TVZ, where you would think that the play would be to increase your tech and increase your tech and increase your tech and just kind of start stacking up and up and up. For both players, and that is absolutely what you want to do for the Terran for the most part. But late game TVC is kind of this balance where if your opponent goes, if the Zerg goes high tech, the Terran wants to go high tech. But if the Terran goes high tech, the Zerg then wants to go mid game tech, which means the Terran wants to go back to mid game tech, which means the Zerg wants to go back into tier 3 tech, and it's just kind of this up and down, back and forth. That's actually super dynamic, and I'm absolutely in love with the kind of just the decision making that has started to evolve into this late game over the last year or so. It's super cool. But for now, Kira's established Fortress Terran on the right side. There are 2 bases that he could realistically take that he has not taken just yet. But most importantly, the Zerg has not taken them. And that's great news if you're a fan of Kira. Because the way you play against this is this late game mass ghost, mass tank, mass liberator, Thor, Hellbat, super late, like spooky mech. As the Zerg player, you want to make sure that you take a base, or ideally 2, but at least a base from the Terran player. And what that means is even as you do trade, quantitatively, honestly, this is not that bad for Dark whatsoever. But as you start to trade worse, quantitatively worse, the fungal goes down. That's finally going to be the death of the Banshees. One will fall, actually. Second one stays alive. Now, Biles on the missile turrets will knock them down. I can't believe this Banshee's still alive, by the way. There's still no detection. Fungal on the high ground. There we go. Okay, it's dead. But anyway, so as the Zerg is going to trade somewhere 16 on the order of like 12 to 16 to 20,000 resources worse, if they can get one base, it's effectively, they're going 2 bases better than their opponent, and it absolutely works out. But for now, this is a massive 3-3 lurker run by. We're going to see here, he's not supply blocked. You see so many command centers, but his orbital is going to get canceled. The lurkers, one of them falls, but that's like 7 dead SCVs. It's a bunch of dead lurkers now. Pressure moving on this base that Dark is trying to deny. But it's not really going to deny all that much. And, well, again, Fortress Terran moves forward. And I really like how Kira's playing this. I know I've been heaping praise upon Dark quite a bit. But notice where the SCVs are. It's not on these interior bases. 8 out of 16, you know? I mean, yeah, he's mined out a decent amount, but... Well, that's 16 out of 10. But there's not a lot of mining on these kind of safe outlying bases. It's all on... We're soon going to see a lot of SCVs, I assume, rallied on over to this base. Because it's just... super important to say dead hatch. It is super important for the Terran player to, or for both players, to extract as much unsafe money from the map as possible before it gets punished. This planetary, I honestly, I don't want this to be a planetary. Make it an orbital. Give yourself more mules. Give yourself more scans, because this, I mean, good luck taking this base ever or consistently. Planetary, what it does really at this point is it just gives room for more things to go down. Is now Biles on the Liberator is actually not going to kill the Liberator, unfortunately. So there we go. It's going to eventually fall down, and honestly, Kira just gives the position up. It's mined out for the most part. Does it have gas? Yeah, it's actually got a decent amount of gas. So even if there's not a lot of minerals here, like 1,000 minerals-ish, 1,200, the gas count is going to be a little bit too high at the moment. Now nuke goes down and killed a changeling, killed some crew. Zoning nuke. I don't think Kira knows that this is not Solar, this is Dark. And even if Solar did take down Dark in Gamers Without Borders yesterday, which was, it's a pretty fun series actually. Dark has been looking very vulnerable in his ZVZ as of late, dropping going 1 in 4 against Eric in the last 5 maps in the last 2 series he's played against him. Just because that has happened and just because Solar has overcome Dark does not mean that Dark is likely to fall victim to the nukes like Solar is. But now, Kira moves forward, sweeps a decent amount of creep off the map. But it's got to be the slow push like this. He is fully on Spooky Mech, by the way. We're looking at 14 ghosts. There's 2 Marines and 2 Marauders somewhere. Oh, this tank fire. And they've got detection. The missile turrets will eventually go down. Planetary tries to bust, but it's not successful. The tanks, they get abducted. So eventually, the lurkers are going to kill this off. Planetary gets repaired pretty damn well. So the ghosts now, they're going to get their snipes on. And yeah, these lurkers, Planetary falls, but I feel like you wanted more than that. But yeah, this army is pretty much maximum complexity at this point. Where are these? Okay, so I guess random Marines and Marauders are in the main base on the off chance that there's a Nidus. That or he just forgot about it. And now this pressure, the pressure now from Kura is when the Terran gets to this point, the Zerg it really struggles to directly engage into the Terran. So Dark does what every good Zerg player does. When that is an option, they just go counterattack, and that is much easier. Oh, big shot there. The couple ghosts just hit a ton of lurker spines. Orbital will fall. And now eventually this is going to get cleaned up. Oh, the Neurals on the tanks. How much damage is this going to get? Oh, on the Thors as well. So just friendly fire on top of everything. It allows the lurkers to escape, to start to burrow. Infestors run away. Massive fungal there on the Ghost, and Dark is taking a miraculous fight. So many of the Ghosts hit the deck. The Thors go down. Cure loses everything. And even though the fungal doesn't get the Sky Terran, my God. The Neurals on the tanks and the Thors. The fungals on the Ghosts. Dark is, again, the best player with Infestors in the world, and it's not even close. And yeah, okay, I know you might say, yeah, you know, what about Beyond? Or not about Beyond. What about Cyril? Cyril's good. Cyril is very good with his Infestors, but no one uses Infestors like Dark does. Now the Lings, they're going to run forward, getting on top of these Ghosts. Hellbats are, I mean, they're +3 Hellbats with Blue Flame. They kill Lings, but they don't kill Lings quite fast enough here. Now more of the army will go down. Lings and Banes find a planetary, and, well, a morphing planetary. It's not even ready yet. And the Hydras, even if you lift and run away, these are +3 Hydras. It doesn't matter that there's armor. Another base falls. More of the tech of Cure goes down, and Dark continues to move from strength to strength. Cure does have a bank, and that is the one thing we do have to say, but look at the resources lost here. It's 33,000 to 30. Dark has traded 3,000, only 3,000 resources worth in a 23-minute game. Like that, if this was most players playing against late game Terran like this, we'd be +12, +16. The fact that Dark is taking a base from Cure on the bottom right, I mean, and he's mining from it. He's almost all of his drones are here, and he's been trading so cost effectively. He is in such an incredible position in this game. So this seems to be the attempt at the kill move coming out of Dark. Now, it's not guaranteed to be, of course. Broodlords are very much a timing, but you know, they're not quite there just yet. Or they're not incredible in the late game once you can respond. But the army from Cure is just not equipped at all to deal with these Broodlords. We have 6 Vikings. We have 8 Ghosts. Liberators too, sure, fine. That's like all the anti-air. There are no Thors here whatsoever. So these new improved, these faster Broodlords, they're going to find this army. And yeah, you got Hellbats that can deal with the Broodlings a little bit, but this is going to be a damn hard army for Cure to fight. And it's got to be a surprise, right? That's the goal. Ooh, big tank shot. But yeah, oh, fungal there on the Ghost. That's going to be a couple now. Raven goes forward. Anti-armor missile. And, you know, this actually might be fairly good. But Parabong fungal on the Vikings. They're just going to all hit the deck here. They're not going to get the value that they want whatsoever. So Vikings go down. All the anti-air, almost all the anti-air goes down for Cure. And we're still on. There was 2 dead Broodlords. Ghosts have fallen. I guess there are Liberators still here. You know, Thors are getting added. But I understand that Cure is worried that he doesn't want to overcommit too far. But I really like this army that Dark has made. Well, it is just so hard to deal with what Dark has made. And by the way, the Nidus play, and I know I'm just talking about how cool everything Dark is doing, but it is. He's using Nidus as a method to reinforce across the map. He's got the Nidus in the main. He's rallying into it, and he's just got the Nidus on his base. So his Infestors that he remakes, they show up immediately. Nidus in the main is going to be cool, I guess. I hope he doesn't take anything out of that because there's really not much to do. And now, while some of the production is starting to go down, life's getting complicated. Now, this tank siege on the other side is something, certainly. And it actually does seem to be forcing Dark back. I don't like this decision. I feel like Dark really... he pops the Queens out. That's not even great. Queens will all go down to the Nidus. I feel like if Dark had just pressed his advantage and found his way into the main and just swept through, the Thors would never have been out enough number to really contest it. But instead, he wants to keep this base alive. I can understand that desire. But if you lose one base and the Terran loses everything, I mean, it's just, you got to assume it's going to be good for the Zerg. So, I mean, I understand, right? Again, it feels really scary to give a mining position up, but I would have much preferred just the continued aggression, especially when your army is primarily Broodlords and Thors are coming out on the map 2 by 2. There are 5 of them right now. Like, this army that was once very good against what the Terran had is kind of starting to age out just a little bit. That fungal's not going to land whatsoever. Liberators, they siege up, and the Thors, under the aegis of the Liberators, they're going to start to run forward. The fungals are actually really nice. 21 drones have hit the deck, Hellbats, and everything else. Well, there's just these useless tanks on the right side. They're going to try to do something in Lings. Well, they're going to find that surround. Hellbats, yeah, they're going to do what they can, but these tanks will all fall down, and the base absolutely stays alive here. So, Pure sacrificed a ton of his tanks. An absolute metric ton of his tanks, but part of this is again, resupplying. The resources lost is still not bad for Dark whatsoever. It's not as good as it was. He has lost 4,000 in the duration, but I mean, it's still pretty dang nice. Now the Broodlords are going to start to siege away. And I love it. The fungals on the SCVs. Now Neurals from the low ground onto the high ground on one Thor, but it seems, I would think, that Infestor finally goes down. Liberator's on top of it, so that's really not going to find the value. Now, Liberator, though, covers less of the area. And this position that Dark has found, yeah, Thors have heavy range, but it is still hard to fight into now. Infestors run away. Detection is lacking, is kind of the big problem here. Yes, there are almost omnipresent scans, but the missile turrets that are meant to tell you where to scan, they're starting to go down. And that is certainly something that Cure has to deal with in some way. Honestly, he's on 8 orbitals. That is almost constant scans. So you do have that one going for yourself. Now the question really, what is Cure's win? He's going to try to make it happen right now, but the fungals are really nice. Banelings run forward, but you know what? With the Death Stones all paired together, and the anti-armor missile, this fight is not bad for Cure at all. He's got 150 army supply. The Lurker Harass is not really finding all that much done. That was a fairly good engagement coming out of Cure, and he will continue to have good engagements like that. Of course, Dark has mine out of his base in the bottom right. So we look at the resources lost and we say, hey, 7K. Yeah, but I don't know how much money Cure sucked out of the map, but it's probably right around that number, or Dark sucked out of the map extra, but it's probably around that number, which puts him in a pretty good position, even as the Liberators. I try to deny these bases. And again, what the question I was trying to ask before I was so rudely interrupted by Cure moving out on the map is what is Cure's win condition? He has not killed a base in a long time, and Dark has been out mining him for quite a while. Is it just one fight? It's starting to look like it might just be one fight. Dark does not have the bank he once did. He's mining a ton, sure, and Cure is not. My God, Cure's not mining at all. It's 700 minerals a minute. That is barely anything. The fungal goes down. One ghost seems destined to die. There we go. Target fire from the Broods. Oh, okay. Well, there's a neural on a Thor. It just goes down immediately. I'm not sure what killed it, whether it was all the Broodlords impacting it or it was tank friendly fire or whatever, but the neural into immediate death is a fun one. We're not seeing more like commando ghost play, but now Fungal goes down. Blinding Clouds as well makes it really hard for these tanks to fight, and the Thors as well. They just cannot get in range for the Broodlords to do anything. So this pressure coming out of Cure, I mean, he's maxed out. He's at 174 army supply, and that means technically he should be able to defend this, but the Banelings are not going down, not just yet. They make great connections. They force the army back, and now the tanks are starting to go down. Lings find their way into the natural here. And this technically should have been pretty good, but it's not quite good enough. And again, Kira's really not mining all that much. He's dropped a mule hammer recently, and that is something. But he's really not doing all that much. And Dark is still mining out of Kira's base. Like, Dark is +1 base on the Terran, and that is, it seems like that is something that is not likely to change at all, or at least not for quite a while. So even as powerful as these mule hammers are, and again, look at the resources. Kira's mining over 3,000 minerals a minute as that anti-armor missile goes down. It also means you run out of mining faster. It means eventually these bases will tap out, and if Kira cannot resecure his third from a long time ago, and honestly at this point, this base is starting to mine out. This base that he should have, some of the weaker the weaker mineral, whatever you want to call them, the low yield minerals, they're going to start to mine out here. Snipes go down on whatever they can find, but the blinding clouds are massive. And the Neurals from the backside, oh, they're on the tank as well. This is a disaster of a fight for Cure here. It's just not going to work out. He cannot punish the base. I did not see those Infestors on the minimap whatsoever. And he just smashes it. Oh, man. That's even with the Raven there. Cure's army gets smashed. He really doesn't have the army, the value, the money for reinforcement once at all. This Liberator will fall. They're going to try. The Thors will eventually try to move over, but this is just key timing now for our Infestor friends. Now Liberators are going to go up. Neural on the get neuraled, I guess, and they're not going to actually do that great of a job. Now the play here. Oh, he's doing it. Oh, the big brain play. Dark is going to drop a Nidus on the high ground because he knows he can't really take this fight, and it's an escape Nidus. He's just buying time. The Nidus is going to pop up here, and everything you own into the Nidus. But no, is he going to run out of it? Oh, he realizes he's got a little more time. So the Hydras there are going to pop right into the Nidus at the last second. One Thor knurled on the high ground. Scan gets dropped though. And this Nidus, it was the coolest thing I've ever seen, except it's not doing what it was supposed to do because Dark, he thinks he can do more damage in the main, I guess. So the Broodlords get out. This Nidus is going to eventually pop up here as, Ghost gets some snipes. And this has got to be the escape Nidus. There we go. Hydras, they run away. Oh, that's so cool. That is so dang cool. And at this point, here's broke. He's mining less than 1,000 minerals a minute. He's got some gas on the way. His bank is spent. You know what's bad when the Terran's building Marines? Now, here come a bunch of lurkers on the north side, and this is going to be a dead base. There's not enough money for Cure to repair anymore, so he's going to lose the planetary. Orbital is going to die too. It's burning, and now the Hydras are just going to tap it down. And Cure at this point, he feels kind of dead. He's got, yeah, okay. He's going to tap out here. That was a cool game out of Dark. Cure is not able to sustain the late game, and that is one game now in the good for our Korean Zerg. All right, so now we're on to Neo-Humanity. It's a map that also can tend to go fairly late. It's a map that, splits the map a little bit. One might even argue that is actually, I think many people will argue, Terran map. So I'm excited to see what these players have in store for us. But the big thing, we already see this. No pool first from Dark. And away we go. So, of course, we talked about it in the opening. This is a map that is arguably pretty Terran favored. Now, when we saw the map, like the first week of it, it seemed very good for Zerg because how the hell do you hold this base? And I saw, I cast Solar versus Cure. And, Cure's playing a decent game, and then he tried to, expand onto kind of this forward position, and then the map kind of got ripped out from under him. But luckily, if you're Terran fans, they've started to realize that, you know what? This, these El Naga towers are actually really nice because it makes it very hard for the Zerg to take any of the outlying bases. And on top of that, well, it may be hard to hold this base if you don't position right. You also have a really strong pushing avenue through just about right here. Through the middle of the map, left or right, whichever way you want to go. And especially if you knock these rocks down in the middle, the rocks go down. There's a wall here. It is very hard for anyone, really, for the Zerg to be able to flank you, and you just have this strong pushing position onto their rich gas base. So from every situation, actually, it's turned out to be pretty good for the Terran. Now, that doesn't mean Terrans always win, but it has again seemed to be fairly good. I should point out, of course, that Dark is doing something pretty interesting, where he has opted for the linear third. And generally, by the way, in kind of StarCraft theory, as a Zerg, you do want to go for the linear third versus the triangular one against Terrans, because it means that drops are not going to be as effective. Right, where if the Terran is dropping, they can put a drop here, stim into the main, then they can drop on the low ground, high ground, low ground, and it is often pretty damn difficult for the Zerg to respond to that without significant anti-airs. Lings on the other side, though, they're going to delay this command center just a little bit, even as the Marines pop out. The Lings will die. The command center, though, it does hit the deck. And, oh, this Marine shouldn't. Yeah, okay, there we go. It will fall. Nicely done there, Dark. Yeah, so again, you go linear third because it is something that does make it a lot harder for their Terran to push. And on top of that, this is I'm not going to say a much easier, but a marginally easier method of position to hold. You can kind of get creep past the choke, and then the Terran sieges up. And even if they have tanks on the high ground, it becomes a little awkward. Meanwhile, defending this position, this is a nice spot for tanks. You can put tanks behind the mineral line. It's pretty easy. It's much easier for the Terrans to stagger their tank pushes, and in general, it becomes rather hard. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, it's fairly simple. There's this wall of minerals. I can't show it to you on this side because, well, Dark has mined it out. But there's this wall of minerals that actually makes it kind of hard to take the base in the early game, especially if you don't get the drone out early enough, because you just got to run the long way around. It is absolutely something that a Reaper can go across and punish. So Dark had his drone out a little bit early. That is another reason, in part, why this map is maybe not the best for Zergs. You have to send a drone out earlier. It's a lot to take your third. It's lost mining time. Anyway, point being, Dark adding on 4 gas at once here. Interesting. So I'm going to assume that based on this, right? 4 gas getting added at once. The Hellions are actually, they're going to dive in. Drones are going to have to get pulled. Great surround there on the Hellion. So they're going to get 4 workers, though, even still. And everything I was going to say, I'm sorry, I thought Dark had a gas before this. He didn't. This was a gasless opener, and I apologize, but this is kind of a read coming out of what Dark wanted to do, or out of what Cure wanted to do. We know Cure is likely going to go 3CC. You don't need a lot of early gas against that. So now Dark adds 4 gases at once. He does not have speed. And we should see a Roach Warren go down fairly quickly. If Dark decides to go Ling Bane out of this, well, that's going to be very surprising. Hellions once again dive in. 2-3 workers are going to hit the deck. That's going to do it. Oh, I guess it's going to be 4. But at the end of the day, all right, you say, okay, well, this is 9 dead drones. That's horrible for 4 Hellions, and it's not great. But with the amount of money that Dark has been able to save up by going gasless and only getting gas just now, you can afford to lose a couple drones and still be in a pretty good spot. And evidence right now, I mean, it's going to be at 6 minutes, he's going to be at 65, 68, something like that drones. That's he's going to be nearly at 70 drones at 6 minutes. That is a massive economy. Behind this, interestingly enough, there is Link speed on the way behind. This is Banshee's diving to the main. They don't get all that much done. But I'm really curious as to what upgrades Dark gets on his Evos, because he does have Link speed on the way, but there is no Baneling Nest. And I mean, he's not getting roach speed, though. He's got plentiful gas. He's building roaches. What is Dark up to? I mean, again, there are some things that might make sense. Going even melee, going roach opener into melee, which is kind of what he's doing here. Okay, fine. But not getting roach speed is the interesting thing. Not getting a Baneling Nest is the interesting thing, because you kind of want to go this Roach Ravager thing into Ling Bane. You want to have those Banelings up quickly, but it seems like Dark is just going to use this as another method to get into that really quick high. And that's what he's been loving. I talked about it a little bit in that previous game where he went roaches into lurkers, which is the style that I think is really cool. But almost every single game he plays, at least against Cure. He's been going for this late game rush. Hive getting started by 7:30. Actually, if anything, this is a little slow. There we go. 7:20. I mean, I've seen him start it at 6:30. Just going to the late game as quick as possible, rely on his mechanics and his creep spread and just as little defensive units as possible so he can get into adrenal glands. He can get into Vipers, really, are the big thing, and that allows you to have so much power so much earlier into the game. Now, Widowmine unburrows, dodges the shot, Lings run forward, and the Roaches, they're not super quick just yet, so they're really going to be able to dodge them. Sorry. Are they ever super quick? Not really, but they're quicker with Glial Reconstitution. So this is one of those games where it feels like it's getting started now. You know, Cure went 3CC. He's got his 4th base on the way before his 7-8 or 5-6-7-8 or 6-7-8 racks. There we go. Double factory. I mean, he is going solidly into the late game. Really quick 4th base. He is not going to be able to put on the pressure that you would like a Terran to normally do. Because again, this is a quick 4th base. This is high tech. This is greedy as possible. And because Dark has recognized this and is doing the same thing. I mean, Vipers are going to be on the field by 9:15. Like that is so quick. It is insanely fast that we're not. This is one of those games where, and in part it's one of those games that makes me sad a little bit, where we've had less of them, but the whole, I'm a Terran, I'm just going to wait until the I'm just going to turn on the late game. You know, we're not going to play this mid game because I'm going to lose. Well, kind of what Cure's playing right now. It's last year's TVZ. It's Maru style. And then the patch happened, and we saw all these players that really started to lean into the new style. They did super cool things. They played aggressive, but they did transition. It was great. And really part of that was the Ghost Snipe change, where Zergs could run away, and it really forced a lot of interaction, and you just couldn't kind of rest on your late game laurels. But Cure's just doing that. And that means we have a grand total of about 2,000 resources lost in 10 minutes. Eventually, this game will start. Eventually, we're going to have things to talk about. But right now, I mean, Dark says why. I mean, why would I choose to do anything right now? I'm maxed out. I've got 2-2 on the way. I've got Adrenal. I've got I've got my Hive done. I got Vipers. I've got a Spire on the way. I've got everything I could possibly want. Now, Parabomb on the Medivac is going to force things back. And Dark, I guess he opted to get a little bit aggressive. Meanwhile, well, you got a drop in the main base coming on in. That was pretty effective. Dark's first drop in the last game, it killed the Hive. It did a great job on the timing. This one's not going to be nearly as successful. Target fire on the Banes is nice, and actually, Fungal's not really going to land. Biles don't hit anything either. So, hey, it doesn't get much damage done, but it forces energy at it. It does find some level of value. So now there's a drop into the 4th base. This actually does seem like hatch killing possibility. So Cure is starting to turn his multitasking on. All of a sudden, he hasn't done anything this game, but he does kill a base. He kills some spores, and you know, hey, Fungal there goes on the Marines. Roaches and Banelings will arrive. Parabomb, and plus the Fungals should kill these Medivacs, or at least get damn well close. There we go. That all falls down, and that should be the extent of it. But in the front here, Cure multitasking all over the place. He's going to try to snipe another base, and he gets it. So now this is a 4-base Zerg. Well done, Cure. Meanwhile, it seems like the drop in the main was, well, never mind. It's right there. Moves down. So that drop, it took some damage, but you know, it's at least it's going to trade out its lives a little bit. But the time that Dark can just kind of willy-nilly drop seems to be over. Because we got 10 Corruptors on the way, and when you add those in, yeah, they're not fast, but every time you got to assume between Vipers and Corruptors, every single time you move a drop in, it should get cleaned up. Of course, Dark is moving for Broodlords behind this, so I don't know how long there actually will be Corruptors in the sky. For now, there certainly will be, because Dark is just about maxed out, and you do need some pretty hefty free supply to make sure that you can build the Broodlord. So we're going to look to see Dark trade, I think. He's going to probably, well, actually, as I say that, He's not going to probably... Cure is moving on the map, and he's going to try to force a fight, which I think realistically kind of helps Dark out a little bit, so long as it's somewhat cost-effective. Fungal's now on the bio, but it's not going to find value. Not just yet. So flank getting set up from Dark here. He's actually the one that owns the, he's the one that's going to own the Xel'Naga here, but the tanks, the scan means that life's going to be a little hard. Snipes goes down, but actually most of them are going to get canceled. Roach is now running forward, and Dark 9 Broodlords on the way. He's kind of okay with taking these trades as the Broodlords, they're going to run forward all of a sudden. And what's the anti-air? I mean, it's a couple Vikings. It's something, but there's going to be transfuses for that one. One tank's going to fall. Fungal doesn't really land. But here comes the hard push coming out of the Zerg. Tanks will continue to fall down. And yeah, I mean, you got Ghost Bio. Actually, this is a bit undefended here. Marine Sim forward. Fungal's not really going to land, but Broodlords aren't dying. One of them. One Brood has hit the deck, and the tanks continue to fall down here. Cure is, he's got a bank, but it's not, he's not really changing out his production all that much just yet, so snipes go down. Fungal, he's going to cancel them all, though, and the army moves forward. Yes, the Infestors are starting to die, but these Fungals are absolutely massive here. And the Lings and the Banes, they come filtering on in. Cure is losing out on his position hardcore. The Vikings, they all go down, too. Parasitic Bombs, Fungals, Queens, they knock everything. So, yeah. Eventually, a Corruptor will die to a snipe. Who cares? Because these Broodlords are here, and it seems like they are here to stay. Cure moves forward, tries to find value. The snipes! Well, a lot of them get canceled by the Biles. Not something I thought I was ever going to say. Now, the Broodlord count is smaller. It's 6. It's not 14 or 9 or whatever it was. This Indomitable, this slow push coming out of the Zerg at this point, it's going to be damn hard. So hard for Cure to be able to make this happen. In fact, he's not. Dark gets the tech that he wants. He breaks right on through, and Cure falls down to 0. Dark, he moves on to the finals. That's going to be a fun one.